Hi, today we will see an AI agent designing, developing and deploying a web application starting from a textual description of the app. The application we'll create is a school management system, and we will use AppifyText.ai. AppifyText is a free AI agent which uses artificial intelligence and the no-code, low-code platform DaDaBIK to design, develop and deploy the app for you. So we'll provide simple instructions to an AI agent, which will then use another tool to build your app. If that sounds complicated, don't worry, this process is completely transparent for you. All you need to do is input your prompt. And if you're familiar with AI code generation, for example using ChatGPT, this is a completely different approach. With ChatGPT, you get some code that you have to copy, edit and deploy. What you get as output by AppifyText after about 30 seconds is instead a working application that you can run with a click, hosted on a server, ready to be used. And this is, after some refinements, the application we will build. Not only is the app ready to use, but it's also easy to modify if it doesn't fully meet your needs. My name is Eugenio Tacchini, I'm a computer scientist and I teach databases and data science in college. Beyond academia, I'm an entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in developing a no-code, low-code platform. Since early 2023, I've been deeply focused on the intersection of AI and no-code, low-code, and AppifyText is the outcome of this work. By the way, this is the third episode of the series AI Agent Builds App. Each time we build a different application. Each time I try to include aspects of the process you haven't seen before. So let's start. So visit AppifyText.ai. This is the website we will use. The homepage is very simple. Basically, you have a text box here where you describe the app you want to create, and that's all you need, right? So first we need to register. It takes literally 10 seconds. It's a free registration. Only email and password are required, okay? Okay, I'm registered now. Please do the same if you want to follow this tutorial. Now I can log in with the account I've just created. All right, so this is again the same homepage, and we can now create our application. So let's talk about the application. It's a school management system. So it's a tool the school uses to keep track of the students, the classes, the teachers, the academic results of the students, and so on. Okay, so for example, the office staff can use this application to register the students. Maybe there could be an approval system. Teachers will use the same app to register grades for their classes. Students will use the same app to check to see the grades they get, and so on. Okay, so let's describe the app in simple English, basically. So first we need to give a name to our app. I decided that this is an app for a high school called Dante. So the name is Dante High School app. All right. And then we can just use our words to describe the app to AppifyText. So we can start, we always start with something very general. So create a school management system. All right. And as I said all the time, this could be enough. So if I click create this app now, I will get a school management system. What AppifyText thinks is, an average school management system. But as we always said, the more details you add, the more the app will be obviously tailored to your needs. So you will get an application that is more, in line with your needs. Normally, the first thing I tend to do is to give some context. So I say we use it as an internal tool for a high school. Okay, and then at this point, normally I give I mention highlight the information I want to keep track of. So we said teachers, we said students, classes. Let's try to, in simple words, to describe this. So the system should keep track of information about teachers, students, and classes. All right. For each student, here I will explicitly tell the system that we want to keep track of the grades. So for each student, the system should store their grades on, let's say, assignments and exams. Okay. Try to use, this is a tip for, for these prompts, try to use simple words, simple phrasing, okay? Don't leave room for ambiguity. And also, that's something I want to add that I forgot to tell you before. We also want to track attendance. So we need to know, we also need to know if a student attended a specific class on a specific day. Okay, so this is our prompt. So let's try to click here, create this app, and see what happens. Again, this is just an example. Feel free to use your own words, your own use case. Test the system with an application that is useful for you. AppifyText is very good with some kind of applications, which are internal tools, business apps, backend apps, admin apps, CRUDs, dashboards, and the like. So you can just experiment describing the app in English, or you can try in your own language as well. So while I was talking, the AI agent designed, developed, and deployed the application. All right. So we just need now to click here, run the app to see the actual app and to use it. There's no need to, copy the code, editing the code. We just get the working app. And here we go. As promised, as output, we didn't get code, we get the actual app that is deployed on a server, ready to store our data, ready to be used. So let's have an overview of the app we have created. But before, let me add one more thing. Not only the app is ready to be used, it's also ready to be edited, right? Because and that's another difference with respect to the code generation approach. You get your app and then you click here. We will see that later, and you can edit the app you have created using no-code tools. So basically, by configuring parameters, by dragging and dropping elements, things like that. So as much as possible, you will create, you will customize the app according to your needs. But let's see the app now. So on the left side, we have a menu. Well, this is a generic logo. We have a menu here with the main elements, the main entities of our application. We have teachers, we have students. As you can see, AppifyText already added some examples of students, of teachers. We have classes, we have grades, and we have attendance. Okay. One additional important thing to notice is that AppifyText already created the right relationships between elements, between entities specifically. So for example, here you can see that this class, math, for this class, the teacher is the teacher John, having ID 1. This is one of the teachers you see in the teachers table, right? One John Smith. And if you try to edit this element, you will see that here you have exactly the 3 teachers you have there. We call this a one-to-many relationship. Why? Because in this case, in this specific case, a teacher can teach many classes, but each class has just one teacher. The application provides the typical CRUD features, so you can create a new element, new records. Technically, you can search for elements, records, you can edit, you can delete. You also have inline editing, so spreadsheet like editing, the one provided by applications like Airtable or Excel, of course. So for example, here I can click here and change this grade without opening the record. And in addition to that, you have some additional features like the generation of charts, the generation of pivot table. You can export in CSV. You have a lot of things you can do. We will explore some of them later. Finally, let me tell you that is a responsive application, so it works great also on small mobile devices. You have 23 languages here, and that's it for our general overview of the application. Now we will try to to use the application for our typical school workflows to see if the application fits our workflows, and if it doesn't, we will modify it so that it will be tailored to our needs. One additional thing I want to tell you is that once you create an application on AppifyText, you will see the application in your app library. Right now, I have only one application here. You can have more than one application, and they are stored there. So if tomorrow I log in again, I will find the application in the exact same state it was the last time I modified the application or the the data. Okay, I was saying we wanted to test our workflows, so let's start, for example, with the registration of a new student, right? So students, create new, we fill the form, obviously, I don't know, Bob, let me show something. We already have some basic validation, data validation built in. So for example, here, if I add an email, without the at character, then I will get an error. All right. So the student registration is, very simple. Okay. What I can notice, so it's fine, but we probably miss some fields. I would say we need the birth date and maybe a picture of the student. These are two fields we should add, and also the year. So we want to know that this student is attending the first year, the second year, third year, and so on, and maybe the status. When we discussed the application, we said that maybe there is an approval system, and so we need a status field saying that the student is, the student admission is pending, or the student has been admitted, or maybe the student is graduated. That's even another status. So what we normally do with these tutorials, this format, is we try to see if the application created by AppifyText fits our needs, and when we find something that doesn't, we add to document. Okay, the improvements, we add the improvements here. So add to students, we said a status, picture, birth date, and year. Here, this is the logo. I decided that our school is called Dante, and this is the logo I will use for the application. All right. So, okay, student. Then let's check classes. Okay, class has a name, a description, a teacher. Maybe we need a syllabus, so a field where the teacher can upload, I don't know, a PDF with the syllabus. Maybe there are other, I would say there are other fields as well, but just for the moment, we can say add to classes, syllabus. Okay. And then what about assigning grades? So here the teacher needs to assign a grade for a class to a student. Okay, adding also an assignment name and obviously the grade. All right, so first thing I notice is that in AppifyText, so when we enter our prompt, we said that we want to keep track of grades for assignments and exams. Here, the application we got uses grades for everything. Maybe one thing we can do is adding a field here, so we know if it's a grade for an exam or an assignment. That's something more we can do. So add to grades, type, maybe if we want remarks. So remarks or feedback, something like that. What else? So this is fine. I mean, with this form you can easily add the grade for example, here we can say that Samantha got 90 on I don't know, any name is fine. Okay, and that's good. But if you think about doing that for for all the students belonging or attending a class, maybe it's not very fast. So we can improve this workflow, not from the point of view of the data, but from the point of view of how things are done in the application with the application interface. So for the moment, I just write here improve grading workflow to make it faster, and let me increase the here. Okay, and I guess the same is for attendance, because even for attendance we set a student, a class, a date, and attended. This is probably a 01 field or something like that. Even in this case, maybe we can improve this part, because otherwise the process could be slow. So grading and attendance workflow, and maybe on attended we need I mean a 01 value is not enough. Probably we need 3 different values: present, absent, and late. Okay, plus 3 value for attendance. Okay. All right, so what else? Let me check. Well, we can work on the layout of the application. So maybe we can, change colors, make some changes to the forms. We will see. So for the moment, layout changes. And then, okay, users management. What I mean? So at the moment we are logged in. Then I will show you the login process as root. The system automatically logged us in as root. Root is an administrator, okay? And that's the only user automatically created by AppifyText. However, we said before that we have different roles in this application. We have teachers, we have students, maybe we have the office staff. So we need several user groups and several users. So this is what we are going to do here: user management and permissions management, because for each role we will assign different permissions. Okay, that's very important. One thing I always do, I always show during this tutorial, is adding some statistics, some charts. For example, here we could add some charts describing some charts or pivot tables describing the average grade for each student, or the average grade for each class, for example. Okay, stats. And for the moment I think that's it. Obviously, maybe while working, other things will emerge, and in that case, we will add them here in our document. All right. Okay, now we have some improvements we want to implement, and we have two options. We can try to implement the improvements by refining the prompt, so by changing the initial prompt and see what kind of application we get. For example, here we said we need a syllabus field for classes. I'm pretty sure that if we mention that in the prompt, we will get it. The second option, that is the one we will use instead, is to change the application directly from here. So this is a DaDaBIK application. AppifyText generates a DaDaBIK application. DaDaBIK is a low-code, no-code platform, so we can use now DaDaBIK itself to modify the application, all right, by clicking here, edit this app. Before continuing, let me tell you that the first thing you want to do when you create a new app is to change your root password. We didn't do it at the beginning, we do it now. By default, when an AppifyText application is created, only one user, as I said before, is created, the user root, having a default password that is Letizia24. You will see it, I mean, you didn't see it because you are automatically logged in after the creation of the app. But if you try to log out, then you see the login form with the default admin user, root and Letizia24. So let's log in again, but we want to change our password. Okay. All right, good. So now we open this, we call it admin area. Let me make it bigger, maybe like this. So this is a completely different side of the application. This is what normal final users see. So the application itself, this is something that only admin users see. And here you can modify, customize the application, the admin area. What you can do exactly? Well, there are a lot of things you can do here. We will see just a fraction of them during this tutorial. You can add fields, you can add tables and views, you can change your menu, you can configure your forms, for example, moving fields around, changing the validation rules, changing the field type, you can change your layout, you can change the permissions, so what users can do on the applications. You can do really many things, and again, I'm going to show you just a fraction of them. So you have to practice yourself, follow other tutorials, follow the documentation for the rest of the features. But they are all very intuitive to use, I would say. So maybe let me show you some very quick things. For example, from the menu tab, here we can preview according to the user group. We haven't introduced the concept of user group yet, but you know that at some point we will have some roles, some groups, teachers, students, and so on and so forth. So according to the role, maybe the menu is going to change, because each role has may have different permissions. So here you see the preview of the menu, and you can also change, drag and drop things around. So for example, if you want grades here, you just, move it here, and now you have grades on the as a first element after home. So I always open this admin area in a different tab. So I have the final application on the left tab and the admin area on the right tab. Another thing I can easily show you before going into a little more complex things is how to change the title of the pages. From my pages tab here, well, let's say that here I want to call this exam grades instead of just grades, and here we go, exam grades. And let's say that I want to add an icon here close to exam grades. I can do it here, icon. We can use the box icons library, the regular icons, and we can search for exam. No, there's no exam student class. Okay, mark. Okay, this is something we could use. Bookmark, I don't know, is the best I could find in a few seconds, but I'm sure there is something that is better. Okay, so I just copy the name of the icon here, and the icon will appear here. All right, these are two little things you can do in the admin area. We are talking about no-code features of DaDaBIK that allow you to customize the application. But now let's go through our document here, and let's try to implement step by step all the elements of our document, of our list. So the first thing we want to do is adding these fields to the students table. Why I use the term table? Well, because as you can guess, for each of these entity we have here, we have a database table behind, storing, in this case, the data about the students, here the data about the teachers, and so on and so forth, okay? So adding columns here means we want to add fields to the students table. And to do that, from the admin area, we click on data. The data page allows to, work on our data structures, which are tables and views. We will talk about views later. For the moment, let's stay on tables. So students, we need 4 additional fields. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they were status, and then picture, and then year and birth date. Okay. For the moment, so these are the field names. The other thing we need to select to set is the field type. Forget for a moment all the other columns, okay? Let's focus on this one. What is the field type? As field type, you have integer, decimal, float, short text, long text, date and time, and time. These are, very general field types that, and according to the field type, you can store in the field some content, right? So if you, it sounds obvious, but let's state it. If you set a field as integer, you can only store integer numbers there. So if you try to store a letter or a decimal number, you will get an error. Okay, so integer, decimal, and float are two kinds of decimal number. They are different, but I don't want to go into these technical details. Probably for most of your applications, decimal is fine, but if you are interested, you will find documentation about that. Short text and long text, here you can have any kind of text, so letters, special characters, numbers. Short text, only 255 characters are allowed, otherwise long text for longer content. And then date and time, and time. All right, so these are, very these are field types are very related to the database field types, if you are familiar with relational databases. Then, but we will see that later, in the form configurator, for each field you have a DaDaBIK field type and a DaDaBIK field content that allow you to specify even more the content of the field. Okay, so for example, maybe you have a field that is set here as a short text, and then in DaDaBIK form configurator, the content is phone. That means that only phone numbers typed according to a specific syntax will be allowed, for example, or email field, same thing. Okay, so for the moment we just choose the data or database field type. So birth date is obviously a date. Year is an integer number. Remember, year is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, depending on the country, you have different systems. Picture. This is a short text. Here we will upload a real picture, but in DaDaBIK applications, files uploaded into the applications, what we store in the table is the file name and not the file itself. That's why I'm using short text. And the status is also short text. And save. Let's see the results here. I just reload my students page and I see the 4 new column. Okay, let's see if the fields we added work as expected. Okay, so let's edit a record. So we have the 4 fields: status, picture, year, birth date. Birth date is a date. Then we have year, that it will probably a numeric field. We have picture. And as you can see, we can select a picture from here. We can upload a picture for the student. Here we go. So now this is just a random avatar. Now maybe you're wondering how the application can guess that this was actually an image field. So something for which you need to upload something. Well, DaDaBIK uses some heuristics to guess that. So the fact we, let me go back here on students. The fact we call the field name picture, that is a signal that DaDaBIK used to choose the proper DaDaBIK field type. So in this case, the DaDaBIK field type, do you remember we said before we have here these general field types, and then we will see later the DaDaBIK field types that are more specific, like image, generic file, email, phone number, something like that. So that's actually a combination of field type and content type. But the thing is that, as you can see, we have a proper field type for picture. In case this is not what we want, we can just go to the form configurator, and we will do it in a couple of minutes, and you can obviously change it. Okay. All right. So the other. So this is done. So we have to add syllabus to classes, same thing here. So classes, add field, syllabus. So what we can do here, we can either think to write directly in a field. Let's go to classes, write in a text box here, maybe a text area, or a rich text area, so something we can format the syllabus, or we can also upload, for example, a PDF. Let's opt for the second option. So even in this case, it's short text, because what we store in the database is just the file name, as we said before, for the picture of the students, and save. So we have syllabus here. DaDaBIK set it just a normal text field, but this is not what we want. We want to upload a PDF file, so we can open the form configurator and change the field type, the DaDaBIK field type, and or the field content. So it's the first time I open the form configurator, so let me tell you something about it. As the word suggests, we configure our forms here. You see a lot of parameters here. We will see just some of them in this tutorial. Basically here, for each table or view, we still have to see what a view is, but for the moment think about the table. So attendance, classes, grades, students, teachers, and for each field of the form we can set these configuration parameters for the field, which are the basic parameters we need to discuss. So let's move to classes, and let's work on syllabus. That is the actual field that we need to change. So a few things, a few basic things. On the left side, you see the actual parameters you can change. On the right side, you see already a form preview. Okay, so without going back to the actual application, you can preview the form here. You can preview the form and you can see the preview according to the user group and the form type, because this may change what you see. So the first parameters I want to discuss are label. This is obviously the label you see in the form. So if you want to change the label here, syllabus for the class, this is the actual label you will see in the form. Okay. In case the label for the field in the results grid, this is the results grids, the results grid must be different, then you can change it here. Otherwise, the same label will be used for both. Okay. And this is one thing, label. Then the other two, basically the most important things are field type and content type. Here you have several field types that obviously affect how the field is rendered in the form. So syllabus can be a text, and this is just, you know, a normal text box. A text area, and you will have a text area, so a multi-line text box. You can have a date time, a select single, a radio, some radio buttons, some check boxes. We won't go through all the options you have. We will try some of them. All right. So in this case, what we need for this field is a generic file field type. So for file fields, we have two types, image file and generic file. What's the difference? With image file, you always see a preview of the image in your results grid and in your details page. With generic file, you only see a link to download the file, and that's what we need, basically. Okay. So for some of the fields, for some of the field types, not for generic file, for example, but for text, for example, you also have the content type. So you can have a text box, but what's the content of the text box? It's alphabetic, alphanumeric, numeric, it's an URL, it's a timestamp, it's an email, it's HTML, it's a phone number. The content type impacts on the validation of the value. So when I enter a new record, if a field is set as email content, then the system checks if it's an email. So it impacts on the validation and also on the formatting rules applied. So let me give you an example. Okay, in students, the field email is actually content email. Let's check it out. Students email is text with content email. So not only there is a validation process, but also, as you can see, the value is formatted as a mail to link. Okay, let's go back to our classes and syllabus. Syllabus was a generic file, and save. Okay, let's go back here, classes. Let's change, for example, this. We have a select file control here, so we can pick up our syllabus, our PDF syllabus, and save and go back. Okay, so here we have not the preview of the PDF, just a link to download the PDF of the related to the syllabus. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to tell you about the form configurator, about its basic settings, then we will see more later, is how to set a field as required. So if you want to set a field as required, for example, let's say that class name is required, you just need to set field required to yes and save. Okay, so now if I create a new class, the class name is required and I cannot create a class without a class name. As an additional security measure, when a field is required, I also suggest to, from the database point of view on your table, to set nullable to no. Sorry, on class name, nullable to no. All right. Okay. So let's go back to our document. So this is also done. Add to grades, type and remarks. Okay, we can do that, but you know now how to do that. So I would skip this part. Once again, you have to go to the data tab and add fields to the grades table. It's maybe more important to move to the next topic. So I would like to do the stats before, actually. So here we wanted to create some nice charts with the average grade by student and by class. All right. However, we have just a few records in our application, so I have to add some fake data to show you some proper charts. So I'll pause the video, I'll add data, and I will be back soon. All right, done. We have now 20 students and 60 grades, because we have 3 classes and we registered grades for the 20 students for the 3 classes. So now we can do some nice charts. So we start from the table grades, exam grades, and we generate a chart. For example, what we can do is we said we want to see the average grade by course. So for example, we can create a bar chart, 800 width, and we aggregate data by, so we group data by class ID. Remember that in the grades table we have for each line, for each row, for each record, the class ID. So we group together all the records related to the same class, and for each group we show the average. Okay? The average of what? The average of the grade. Okay? Does it make sense? Generate chart. And here we go. And here we can see that for math, the average grade is 62. For English, it's 75.6. And for science is 89.05. So math seems to be the hardest class. Okay, so this is our first chart. If we want to, obviously you can create the chart, this chart at any time, but if you want to add this chart to your menu, so you don't have to recreate every time the chart, you can reach the chart just with a click. You can create a custom page and link the chart through the custom page. Let me show you how. So on pages, so far we have seen only pages based on tables. But we also have pages based on views, but we don't have any views, and custom pages. The only custom page so far is the home page, this one, right? We add a new page. We can call this grades average grade by class. This is the page name. We enable it. Then type. We have 4 different custom page types. HTML, it means you create a page and you write down the HTML of the page. Okay, so here you just write down whatever you want. PHP page, obviously you can have HTML, you can have JavaScript here. PHP, here you need, but this is something we won't see, you need to write your own PHP code in a file and then link the file to the page. And then we have internal link and external link. External link, obviously, if you want just to add an item here that is just a link to an external page outside of your application. Internal link if you want to link an internal page. And this is exactly what we need, internal link. With internal link, we just copy the URL of the page, the internal URL of the page, the one starting with index.php. I copy all of this. I copied it here, and that's it. So we have created the custom page. The very last thing we have to do, because if we try to reload our application, yes, we see again the chart, but still no menu item here. We have to set permissions for this custom page. So this is a new tab in the admin area, all right? We haven't seen this before. We will explore later the permissions tab. Here you give permissions to the various groups, user groups of your application, to the element, to the operations you can do on your application. For custom pages, by default, when you add a custom page, DaDaBIK doesn't set the permissions to yes, so the permissions to readable, let's say viewable. We have to do it. So for average grade by class and for the group admin, remember right now here you can see 2 groups because by default AppifyText creates the admin group and the default group, but we have only one user belonging to the admin group. So we can just set the permission. I mean, it makes sense to set the permission only for the admin group. Right now is view no, we set to yes. Let's go back here, average grade by class. Now we can always, with one click, in one click, reach our chart. And this is, you know, the chart is recreated all the time with the latest version of the data. Okay, so this is not just a picture. The chart is recreated all the time. And this was the first one. The second one was the average grade by student. So for each student, we want to see the average grade. Instead of a chart, this time we can see a pivot table. A pivot table. Basically, it's more or less the same concept in terms of, you know, the information we show, but displayed in a different way. So with a tabular grid instead of a chart. Probably you have noticed this simple report and advanced SQL report. With advanced SQL report, you can write your own SQL query here if you know SQL, so you can create more complex chart and pivot tables. But we can use just a simple report because this is easy enough that doesn't require any coding. So we aggregate data by student this time, and we show the average of the grade and generate. Okay, so now for each student we have their ID. Maybe I didn't mention the concept of ID before, so now I will tell you something about that. For each student we have the average grade, okay? And even in this case we can copy this link, create a new page, pages, add page, average grade by student, enable, internal link, and here we go. Okay, now once again we have to set the permissions. So average grade by student, admin, and yes. Okay, so now we have the two pages. What we can do to improve our application, our user interface, is to group together in a folder these two items. We can do that from the pages tab. So as you can see right now, all the pages have the parent top. This means they are at the top level, right? But if you change this, for example, to stats, bot of this, they will have as parent stats, and they will be grouped together in a folder. We can also set an icon for this kind of for charts and similar things. I always use this icon, line chart, and let's see. All right, stats with our two pages. Okay. So the next thing I want to work on is improve grading and attendance workflow. But before continuing, if you are enjoying this video so far, you can like it if you want. And if you like this kind of videos, you can subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get notified. In fact, this is the third video in this format I publish. The first one, in the first one, we developed a car rental system. In the second one, a restaurant management system, and here we are with the school management system. I want to show how versatile is this platform, and if you have ideas about apps you would like me to develop here on this channel, please share them with me. You can contact us from the AppifyText.ai website, or you can just add a comment here on YouTube. All right, so thank you for your support. Let's go back to our application. So we said we want to improve the grading and attendance workflow, right? The problem was that, you know, when you enter, like grading could be time consuming if every time we have to select the student, the class, the assignment name, and the grade. I mean, it works, but it can be time consuming. We can improve this process, this workflow in, I would say, 3 ways. There is one very simple way, no code. That is the one I will show you, and then I will also mention the other 2. So the first thing you can do is to use a so-called master detail view. So basically, what we want to do is, for each class, we want to see here the grades related to that class. This obviously improves the readability of our information, but it can also help in making the grading system a little bit faster. Let me tell you first of all how you can do that. So it's again from the form configurator. We go to the classes table and ID field, and here at the end, the very last parameter, we select the table we want to set as detail table or items table, and that's the grades table, right? Because we said that here we want to have all the grades related to that specific class. Okay, so grades, and in the second for the second menu, we have to select the field in the grades table that is the link, let's say, to the master table, that is the class table. And as you can imagine, this field is class ID. In the grades table, for each grade, we know the class the grade is related to from the field class ID. Okay, let's see which are the fields of the grades table. ID, that is, a field identifying each records in the grades table. The student ID, that is the student, the link to the student. The class ID, the link to the class. Assignment name and grade. Okay, so let's save and let's go back here, and here we go. Here we see all the grades 20 related to the class ID 3. Okay, that is science. This again improve readability, but also a little bit the grading process. Why? Let's add a new class, and let me show you an example. Class name is data science. So we have this data science class, and we want to add grades for this class. We click here. Now we don't have any grades. Create new item, and as you can see, the class is already selected. So at least we don't have to select all the time the class, because if we are adding grades from the master detail form to the class data science, for sure, the class is data science. So we had John, grade 90. Okay, and that's the first grade. Let's add another one. We add Jane, grade 95, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this was the first method. There is also a no-code method that you can use directly here in AppifyText. The other two methods require a DaDaBIK license. You cannot use them with a free AppifyText account. We will discuss DaDaBIK licensing later, and I will also give you a discount code to use if you want to subscribe to, if you want to start a monthly subscription to DaDaBIK to get a discount. But for the moment, just let me tell you, let me just mention the two methods. The first one I was thinking about is the following one. So adding a button here in the class page, edit page, a button, a custom button, add grades. When you click add grades, the system already set 20, well 20 if the students are 20, but a number of grades records corresponding to the number of students. So they are already there without the grade. So everything is already set up, but you don't have the grades. So finally, what you have to do once you have, I don't know, you set here, let's do that for data science or for science, for example, class ID science. So you would get something like this for your class, but you know, with the empty, completely empty column grade. And now it's very easy to grade because you have all the students already set. You just have to click here and you know, add your grade, and then and so on and so forth. Okay, and this is the second method. The third method that again needs a DaDaBIK license is importing from Excel or CSV. So maybe you want to you want to write your grades in an Excel file or in a CSV file, and you want to import in the system the data. Okay, but again, this is not something you can do from here. You need to publish and deploy this app, which means you need either DaDaBIK lifetime license or to start a monthly subscription. All right. Okay. And you can do exactly the same thing for attendance, right? So in the classes table, once again, you can add yet another items table, attendance, and this time again we have class ID, because also in the attendance table you have the class ID. Okay, so basically now for each class we see not only the grades but also the attendance records that at the moment we don't have for these new classes we have just added. Okay. All right. One thing I noticed here is that so we are assuming that all the students are enrolled to all the classes. This is you know, a simplification of what actually can happen. What we maybe need to add is you know, a process where you can enroll a student in a specific class, right? So we have mentioned relationships at the beginning of this video. For example, we said that there is a one-to-many relationship between classes and teachers. A teacher can teach many, well, according to the schema we have here, a teacher can teach many classes, but for each class we have just one teacher, right? For enrollment, we have a different kind of relationship. It's a many-to-many relationship, if you think about it, because a student can enroll in many classes, and for each classes we can have many students enrolled. So in these cases, normally we handle the relationship using an additional table. So we can just create an additional table, enrollments here. Okay, So, well, forget about ID because this is something that DaDaBIK always add by default when you create a new table. The only two fields we need, probably, maybe we may need some other information, but at least the basic, the required fields we need here are the ID of the student and the ID of the class, right? So with this table, like one record of this table will represent the fact that the student is enrolled in a specific class, right? Maybe you can add an additional field like date when the student enrolled in that class, but let's keep it simple, right? And nullable, I would say no, because it doesn't make sense to create a record of this table without student ID or without class ID, and save. Okay, let's see our enrollments table. So we have ID, student ID, and class ID, but these two fields are just normal text box, but this is not what we want. We probably want a so-called lookup field. So exactly like the one we have here, here, we want a drop-down menu where we can select the students from, the available students, right? We have to do that from the form configurator, as you can guess, probably. So enrollments, student ID, and okay. So this is not a text file. This should be a select single field. A select single field is, in the DaDaBIK vocabulary, a drop-down menu where you can choose just one element. And how about the options of this menu? You can specify the options here, hard-coded, or if you have a lookup field, and that's what we want, you can set the lookup table here. So the table where DaDaBIK will grab the options, and the table is obviously students. So students, then we set the primary key of the students table, that is ID, so the field that uniquely identifies each student, and the linked field. What is a linked field in the DaDaBIK vocabulary? Is the field you want to show to your final user. Your final user maybe want to see not the ID, or maybe also the ID, but maybe also other fields more informative, like first name and last name. Actually, in the case of students, the ID is very important because you can have two students having the same name. So as linked field, we will use ID plus first name plus last name, for example. And here we go. This is our drop-down menu, so we can choose the student from here. Let me add, and later you will see why. Let me add this little, let me check this property here. User-friendly searchable. Let's set it to yes. I will tell you later why. And save. Same thing for class ID. Select single. This time the lookup table is classes, obviously. ID. And here as linked field, maybe ID and class name. Okay. All right, maybe this one, for this one we don't set searchable. So you, sorry, I mean user-friendly searchable. So you will see the difference between the two. Okay, so enrollments, create new. That's one thing we have to fix here. So, well, let me fix it right now. So when we enter a new enrollment record, we should, according to this form, write set the ID of the enrollment. But this ID is auto increment. It's an ID field that AppifyText add automatically, and we don't want to, we don't need and we don't want to set the value manually. So we can go here, permissions, enrollment, admin, and we can, this is something I will show you more in detail later, but since we are here, I will tell you, you know, I will anticipate the discussion now. So for ID, I said create no. Table enrollment, group admin, create no. This means that this field, you know, is not here, is not in the create form. So we can, for example, enroll someone in the data science class, and here in student ID, instead of a long drop-down menu, we can search for a student or using the name or the ID, like John, for example. Okay, and save. Okay, we have enrolled John, having ID 1, in data science, that is the class having ID 5. Let's check our document here. So now stats is done. This is done as well. Improve grading, plus 3 values for attendance. I forgot that. 3 values for attendance. So this allows me to show how radio buttons work. So attendance. So far we have a 0, 1 here. But we can do more. We can add 3 options. So attended is not anymore an integer number; it's a short text. And in form configurator for attended, instead of a text field, we will use a select single radio. Once again, here we choose an option for a list of options, but using radio buttons. And this time we'll not use a lookup table, but we set hardcoded the list of the options here. We can just copy this template and set our options here, like present, absent, and late. Okay. Okay, present, absent, or late. And this is one thing. Obviously, now all the records have wrong values that we have to update. Next thing I want to work on is the layout, but let me add one additional thing about our data. So we are assuming that basically we are working on a single year, right? But after the first year of our school, we have to handle the fact that we have several editions for each class, right? So maybe, I mean, there are a few ways probably to handle this. The first one is we can just add a column addition to the classes table. So when we refer to a class, we are referring to, you know, data science having ID 1, that is the data science class of, I don't know, 2024. Okay, the edition. All right, now I want to discuss the layout, and we can start here. Okay, from layout basic settings, you can change the logo, the application title, and a few other things that I think you can explore by yourself. Let me show you more advanced things that you can do. Custom CSS. Here, if you are familiar with CSS, you can add your own custom CSS to, for example, change the colors used by the application, change the font, or many other, you know, style related things. Almost all the elements in a DaDaBIK application interface have a class, a CSS class, and you can use that to apply a style to them. Let me give you an example. So remember also, I don't know if I mentioned before, but for sure it's mentioned here, that the fact that DaDaBIK uses Bootstrap 5 and the box icons library. So you can use those libraries as well when you want to customize your layout. One thing we can do, for example, from the website colors.co, I selected this nice palette. This website helps you in finding colors that go well together. This is a palette of colors. For each color we have the code of the color here. So we can, for example, think about using this color for the button, and then for example this one for the heading here. And we can start with that and see what happens. So let me show you something. If you open your browser console, you will see, clicking here, that, for example, this is a button BTM primary. Button primary. This is one of the class of set for this button primary. So we can work on that and change the style of button primary to change the color or the background color. So we can write here button primary and background color, and we copy the color from here. Copy. Okay. And save. Okay, so as you can see here, we have now a new color for button primary. Maybe we should change the border color as well. Why this is in another color, still the old one? Probably because we need to add also button primary visited. Otherwise, the visited links will not be covered by our setting here, our CSS here. Good. Okay, so this was for the buttons. Now, this one, I can tell you that this, we can, again, go through the console, but I can tell you that the class for that is tr results header. And again, background color is this one. Okay, it doesn't work. When you find that your settings here, your CSS settings here don't work, it could be that there are more specific settings, CSS settings, already built in the application that override your setting. For example, probably here there is the background color set for each of this cell. We are trying to set the background for the whole header, but if in the DaDaBIK application by default built in, because obviously the application has its own built-in CSS, the background color for each cell is set. This, since it's more specific, overrides our setting. So what you can do is to add important here. Here we go, and we get our background color. So probably this is not now this red color doesn't match very much with these two ones, since here we have a different color and that can work better. We can use that. So I'll copy this, and this specific button, the red one, has a class button danger. Okay, it's a bootstrap class, so we can do something like all right. Here we go. Okay, so with a few lines of CSS, we have already changed the face of our application, and that's one thing we can do. Another thing you can do, if you want to have a completely different data grid here, so this is the standard data grid showing data that DaDaBIK uses, but maybe you want to format the values in a completely different way. So you can use custom formatting functions. This is something you don't have available with the free account, or if another option you have that is available in the free account is the data grid templates. So with the data grid templates, you write here your own HTML template that tells DaDaBIK how to format this data. We won't go through an example. I just want to show you an already built example, and you can see it from the DaDaBIK website. If you go to demo and then to movies library, movies, all right, this is, as you can see, we are in the same kind of page, so the page showing the results grid, but instead of a results grid, we have a completely different, layout that has been created using data grid templates. All right. Some other things I want to tell you about layout are related to forms. So let's, for example, look at the teachers edit form. Okay, so from form configurator, among the various things we can do, we can organize a little bit better long forms. So for example, we can group together fields using so-called separators. Let me tell you what I mean. So form configurator, teachers, before first name, I want to add like a title. Before first name, I want to add a title. It's called separator in the DaDaBIK vocabulary, and I call it name. And I want it in the insert form, in the search form, details page and edit form, everywhere. Okay? And also, after first name, I want to have last name on the same row. So, new line after this field, no, 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 and no. And save. And then here, before contacts, before email, I was already thinking about the name of the separator, I can add a separator contact info, for example. Okay. All right. So now our form is more organized. You can do you can organize long forms using separators and moving around fields. And that's one thing I want to tell you. Another thing I want to tell you that is, still related in some way to layout. For each field, I can add here a hint and a tooltip. So if I write here, let's take email. If I write here something like add your email here, that's pretty obvious, but sometimes you need to add some text, and you can do that, as you can see, and also a tooltip, email here. Let's see the effect. So this is a hint, and this is tooltip. Okay. All right. We call them also separators, as here in the menu. So also in the menu, you may want to, we said already that you can group together items and use folders, like in this case. You can also add, divide sections with separators. So for example, I don't know, let's go to pages and students separator. So before students, we added this separator. Okay. What else? Well, there are other ways to impact on the layout of your application. One is, again, one requires, again, CSS, but instead of writing the CSS here, you have a file, a dedicated file, custom CSS file that you can use if you prefer to use a file to add your own CSS. And also, and these are very powerful, you have layout hooks. Layout hooks are basically positions in the application where you can add custom HTML, text, JavaScript, PHP, whatever you want. There are many of these hooks around the application. One is here, for example, after the header of an edit form. You have hooks in the footer, in the header of the application, login. I don't remember how many layout hooks we have, but a lot. Basically, you can customize the layout of your application, but even you can even add some logic with some code, adding text, pictures, HTML in various parts of the application. And this is done in a completely separated file respect to the files of the application. So it's a file dedicated to the user, the developer. But this is one of the features that requires a DaDaBIK license or subscription. All right, it is not available with the AppifyText free registration. And I think that's it for layout. The other big topic is users and groups management. So you see here the admin folder where you see users and groups. As we said already, when you create a new AppifyText application, by default, two groups are created. One is called admin, the other is called default, and one user, the user root, belonging to the admin group. This second group I tend to delete it because it's not very useful. And we can add our own groups. We should always keep the admin group because admin users always have two kind of permissions that other users don't. The first one is to manage users and groups. So if you are not an admin user, you don't see this part. And the second one is to edit the application. So if you are not an admin user, you cannot access the admin area. All right. So we said before, then we will talk again about permissions. But first of all, which are the groups or the roles we need? We mentioned that at the beginning. We said we have teachers, students as roles, teachers, students, and office staff. So in groups, we can just, add office staff, save, and then students, and then teachers. Okay, these are the three groups, and then we can add some users to these groups. So for example, user, let's add a user to the office staff group. Bob, main group, office staff, and password. I just write Bob. This is not a good password. Obviously, you should choose a complex one. Force password change, no. Normally, for security reason, when an admin add a user, that user at the first login needs to change the password, but we deselect the option because that's just a tutorial. And save. Okay, Bob is part of the office staff. So we can add other users for the other groups, but let me first discuss a little bit about permissions. So at the moment, if I try to log in as Bob, my application will be empty. Why? Because we added a new group and by default the permissions for that group are set to no for everything. So we need to go to the permissions tab and set the permissions. So for example, if we think that let's say, well, we should discuss first of all what we want the users belonging to the office staff group, what we want them to do. But first, let me show you the permissions page. That's something we have seen very briefly before, but now it's time to discuss this in more detail. So when we are talking about table page permissions, we have two levels: table level permission and field level permission. So here you select the table you want to work on, I don't know, for example, grades, and the group you want to work on, for example, office staff. And here you set the permissions for at the table level. So people belonging to the office staff can read grades, can delete records from grades, can edit records from grades, can create grades, can access the details page of grades, can export to CSV grades, and you just answer to this question. Probably we don't want the office staff to edit, create and delete grades, because that's something that teachers should do. So no, no and no. But read yes, details yes, and yes to CSV as well, I would say. So save. But that's only half of the work. We also need to add permission at the field level. So for example here, here we are saying that people belonging to this group can read grades, but they can read all the fields or just a subset of them. And here we can choose it. Okay, yes for all, so they can read all the columns. But if for some reason we don't want them to read assignment name, we exclude this permission. And the same for the other columns. Okay, so for create, well, let's say that create is yes, so they can add the new grades, but here we have to set if in the create form, in the insert form, we want to display these fields. How many of these fields? All of them, some of them. Here you can decide. The same for details, for quick search, advanced search, CSV, and edit. By the way, the difference between quick search and advanced search is this one. This is the quick search form, and this is the advanced search form. Okay, I noticed that when I click on the button, the color is still the old one. We probably need to add an additional here. Layout, custom CSS, button primary active. We need that. Okay, and also hover to cover all the possibilities we have. Maybe I'm still missing some of them, but you know, the idea of this tutorial was to give you at least some general ideas about the possibilities you have. Let's go back to permissions though, and we were looking at office staff and grades. Okay, so again, we have table level permission and field level permissions. One thing I always say is that when you create a brand new group with 0 permissions. Since it may be time consuming to set all the permissions, you can copy the permissions from another group. So in our case, we can copy the permission from admin to office staff, not for a specific table or a custom page, but for everything. If we leave this empty, we are copying for everything, okay? Remember that there are 2 permissions that are never copied from the admin group. So the permission to access the admin area and the permissions to manage users and groups, okay? And also, I always remind you that these copy permissions actions can be tricky from the security point of view if your application is in production and you work in live. We haven't seen the development mode, but if you are live, when you copy the permissions, people belonging from another group, people belonging to the group, in this case office staff, they get all the permissions of the admin group, except of the 2 mentioned before. So even if now we are going to remove some of the permissions, at least for a while, they have more permissions than they should. So now we have copied all the permissions, and we can remove. In fact, now we have yes, almost everything, almost everywhere. And now we can remove the permissions that we don't need. So for example, for grades, we only give read permissions and details and CSV, okay? This is an example. You can do whatever you want with all the other tables, of course. Let's just test if everything is working as expected. So let's go back here. Let's log out. I log in as Bob. Bob is one of the users that we added to the office staff group. So Bob can see everything, not the user and groups here. You remember? Bob cannot access the the admin area. In fact, if I try to click here, I get the login form. And let's see exam grades. We can see the grades, but we cannot edit and we cannot delete. Buttons are missing here. If I try to, edit from here, double click, doesn't work. All right. How about the other 2 groups, students and teachers? This time they are a little bit harder to set respect to, for example, the car rental system we developed in the first episode. Why? Because we already have students and teachers here. They are already 2 entities of our application, and they are in a relationship with other entities, but they are also users, right? Well, let me go back as root here. But they are also users. So how can we handle that? The first option would be remove students and teachers from here and just use the users table for everything. Okay. However, so this means that we will link to grades, not a record of students, but a record of users. A user that is a student. Okay. However, if we want to keep some additional information about students, like address, status, picture. We don't have that kind of information in users, right? So we would need to extend the users table with additional fields. This is something you can do, but not with the free version provided by AppifyText. You need a DaDaBIK license or subscription. So that's one option. The other option is to completely ignore the problem. So I don't know, the student, let's see, one of the student. The student Jane Smith will be a record in the students table and also a record of the users table. And they are completely separated. So to represent a user, you have two records in two different tables. This is, I mean, and you don't link the two records. You know, this, from the point of view of the database design, is not that good. Again, you can ignore that. Maybe you can live with that. However, at some point, maybe you want to configure permissions in a more complex way using ownership permissions, or row-level custom filters. We discussed ownership permissions in the first episode, the one when we built the current system. We are not going to do that here. With ownership permission, you allow users to do things, to do operations on records, but only if they are their own records. So, for example, if I created a record, I can also delete and edit the record. Otherwise, I can just read the record. That's an example. Okay. And the same, but a little bit more complex. I mean, you can create more complex rules is with row-level custom filters. And with row-level custom filters, for example, you can say, okay, students can only read their own grades. And it makes sense, right? To do that, you have to link students and users, right? Otherwise, you don't know who is the student. I mean, when a student is logged in, you don't know who is the student in this table that is linked to the user. And to do that, one simple way is to add a lookup field here. So in the students table, you have a lookup field to the users table. Okay, that's one way, one option you have. So this is the first version of our application. Actually the second one, because the first one was the one produced by AppifyText.ai. Then we used all the, I mean, not all, just a fraction of the no-code features of DaDaBIK to customize our application, right? And let me stress the fact that what we did was just a subset of what you can actually do with DaDaBIK to customize your application. Let me tell you again how, I mean, the big picture. AppifyText uses AI and DaDaBIK to produce a DaDaBIK application. Okay, so the final application is DaDaBIK application. You can use DaDaBIK, the no-code features of DaDaBIK, plus the low-code features of DaDaBIK, which is something we haven't seen here, to customize your application and to move to deploy the application to, for example, your own server. So if you have watched the video until now, well, first of all, congratulations, because my videos tend to be long, but then probably it means you want to learn even more. And the next step is this one: publish and deploy this app. What does it mean? Well, at the moment, the application we have created is installed, hosted on AppifyText, but that's a temporary hosting with some limitations. For example, you have limits on the number of records you can have in your database. Some of the features are locked. For example, you cannot export to PDF, you cannot import Excel files. We mentioned some of the features locked before. Then I will show you a list of them. But above all, you don't have the possibility to use low code. So to add your own PHP and JavaScript code to the application, right? So with publish and deploy, you can export this application and import it into DaDaBIK wherever you want, on your own server, on your own laptop, on your own hosting, on Amazon AWS, wherever you want. Okay, and to do that, you can either buy a lifetime license of DaDaBIK. So you visit DaDaBIK.com and you buy a lifetime license. Lifetime means that you pay once and you can use the software forever, or you start a monthly subscription. Monthly subscription, of course, means that you pay month by month, and when you stop paying, you cannot use the software anymore. The easiest way to start a monthly subscription is to do it from here, from AppifyText. So here you can start a free trial, and free trial means that the first 30 days are free, but I will give you also coupon code that you can use to get a discount on the second month. On the second month, instead of $19 per month, you will pay $9 per month. And then, starting from the third month, you will pay the standard subscription that at the moment is 19, unless you cancel, and you can cancel anytime, even during the free trial. So let me just show you very briefly the process. Start free trial. Okay, so 30 days free trial. I enter the promotional code, that is YouTube24. Apply. All right, so I get the discount. All right. Okay. As we said, there are many features that are unlocked if you start a DaDaBIK subscription or you buy a lifetime license. You can see them here. I won't go through the details of all of them because I did it on the second episode of this series, the one related to the restaurant management system. So if you want, you can watch that video. The one I want to mention that is very important is low coding. So if you export the application from here and you import it in DaDaBIK, you have access to low coding. That means you can add your own PHP and JavaScript code. You can inject your code in the application, and that allows you to customize the application on a higher level, obviously. And how can you how this is managed in DaDaBIK. You have several ways to add your code. For example, you have custom buttons. With custom buttons, you can place in various positions of the application buttons that trigger the execution of some code. You have calculated fields, so in a form, a field value can be calculated, and you can express the formula to calculate it with your code. You have custom formatting functions, so you can format the values you see, for example, on the results grid, according again to your own rules that you can code. You can have operational hooks. So when something happens in the system, like when you add a new grade, then do something. And that do something means execute a particular piece of code that I wrote. Okay, so this is something you can only do if you export the application from here to DaDaBIK. Okay, now it's time to talk about future work. This is what I would like to do to improve even more the application. So first point is students' feedback. So we could give the students the possibility to leave feedback for the classes, for the teachers. This should be very easy to implement, and you can do it probably completely no code. Then WordPress integration. I didn't mention this before, but a DaDaBIK application can be embedded in a WordPress website. So what you could do, for example, if you are using WordPress for the website, for the public website of the school, is to add this tool we have created into your website as internal tool. Let me give you an example of integration here from the DaDaBIK demo page, dadabik.com. You can find a WordPress integration demo, this one. Okay, this is WordPress website, and this is the app we have seen before. Do you remember when we discussed the data grid templates? This is that app embedded into a WordPress page. So you can embed an entire DaDaBIK application into a WordPress page, and also you can share the authentication. So basically, when you can set DaDaBIK in a way that when you are authenticated in WordPress with the same account, you are authenticated in the DaDaBIK application as well. Then improve the permissions. So a couple of things we probably should do are, well, in a application that is in production, for sure you need to do that. Students can only see their grades. We briefly discussed that. We briefly mentioned ownership permissions, and teachers can only add grades for their classes. Okay, so at the moment a teacher can add grades also for other classes, and this is not correct. Parents management. So we can add an additional role, an additional users group, parents. So parents will be able to log in and maybe, I don't know, see the grades of their children, see if their children attended the classes, this kind of things. Then transcripts generation. Here the idea is that in in the page related to a student, we add a button that generates a PDF with the transcripts of that student. And finally, multi-tenant system. So imagine we have a school having several branches, like in different cities or in different districts of the same city, but they all belong to the same school. However, from the data point of view, you want to keep the data separated, so that I don't know, if I'm a student enrolled in the Manhattan branch, I can only see the classes that are offered in that branch. Okay, if I belong to the office staff for the school in the Brooklyn branch, I can only see classes, teachers, and students related to that branch. Okay, this is something you can do using row-level custom filters. With row-level custom filters, basically for each table you want to filter in a way. You want to filter the data, the rows you are in the table according to some criteria. You add an additional column containing in this case the branch. You add a column also in the users table where you can see where you can keep track of the branch the user belong to. And when a user logs in, the user only sees the data belonging to their branch, basically. So this is how I would implement this multi-tenant feature. Okay, so if you you are interested in seeing the implementation of one or more of these additional improvements, let me know, and maybe we can publish a video related to that. All right, I think that's it for today, so see you next time. Ciao!